Sending data, sending data, sending data. All right, X is online, holders only area is online, and YouTube is online. I don't know if holders know this, but you can now watch the sessions in the gated area. Of course, that's soon we'll be shutting these off here. I mean, not all of them, but we'll make it a bit more limited. Uh, okay, I'm gonna just share this stuff around. Give me a moment. Uh, so I'm in the zone today. I'm gonna have to rewatch the session a little later for my personal notes, but I'm doing a bunch of debugging and I'm like deep in the zone. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I'll still be here, but just I'll rewatch a little later and I'll look at the transcript and the AI summary. I do that every day. Um, confirm that everything's accurate. And of course, have to make the adjustments when it's not. Okay. Also, the bots are getting closer and closer. Like they are done and they're online. And just I keep adding APIs and then I keep updating the system to be better. So, I mean, I could just turn them on, but I like the idea of having a perfect system. That's there. Alrighty, I think that's everything. Share this here. Hey. IT, how's your morning going? I heard you were on the M25.
Yeah, um, long drive this morning. I don't know, just drained my energy for this morning. I have not even meditated this morning yet. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
probably use this time to meditate whilst I'm doing what I'm doing.
Oh, geez, you could do that? You could meditate
Yeah,
in conscious mode? Yeah, nice. All right, all right.
because
What kind of,
if you are focused on one thing, that's meditation, right?
true,
Meditation is,
true, yeah.
trying to keep your mind on one thing.
Yeah, that's true. I like that.
Yeah, so whilst my mind is on just the charts, that's still considered meditation anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I get into meditative state when I go cycling or like do something that's repetitive.
Hmm. Hmm.
When I code, I put on the same song on loop for like the entire time. Like sometimes it's like for a week. Yeah, like it's a crazy thing to do, but it works.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I said, I'm gonna jump into some debugging and pushing things through here, and then I'll let you take over. Thanks so much
All right.
for being
No
you.
problem. Let
Awesome.
me share my screen and there you go. How is the volume?
It's pretty good. Maybe a little bit lower. I think it's the Chrome one. Yeah, nice.
Awesome.
Oh,
Okay.
sweet. All right. Well, I'll be here just in
All
case,
right.
but I'll be a
Okay.
little bit multitasking.
No problem.
Cool.
Welcome everyone to um Tuesday. It's the 4th of February already. Wow. Time is flying. Just a couple of days ago, it was the 1st of January 2025. All right. Okay. Let's look at the dollar index to start with. So yesterday, we mentioned that if we get the dollar index to close, if we get the dollar index to close below 108.56, then we will be expecting lower prices on dollar, right? And we did get at exactly 6 p.m. this H4 candle closing below that level. That was the confirmation needed for price to drive lower. So as it stands, I'm expecting dollar to go lower. It might be coming for previous day's low, which is, let's see, this low here, 108.33. I think that's where we be coming for. Okay, this low, like that's where we be coming for. Okay, and then once we get below it, I'll want to see a continuation to the downside. Just watch this down candle over here. That's where we might get some form of a reaction. So just be aware. Right in here, we might get some form of a reaction. I wouldn't expect it to go to the moon, but maybe it will pull back and then continue going lower. Quick trade idea would be to either buy the British pound or buy the euro. Okay, you can choose, or the Australian dollar. Any of the majors, right, is good to buy because I think yesterday I mentioned that if they can close back above the gap, right, then you are good to go. So all of them, I think euro was the only one that couldn't close in the gap, but pound has, Aussie has, New Zealand not really. So pound, Aussie, those two, can buy one of them. It's not bad to buy euro. It can go higher, but the fact that I couldn't close the gap in is still, to me, a big deal. It needs to close it in, as in close above it. Okay, so if you want, just trade the Aussie and the pound for today, and then maybe by the end of today, we might get the New Zealand and the euro closing above the gap, and then you can buy them as well. Okay, so let me see if I can find a trade idea on British pound. I basically looked at this entry this morning. So the same thing, right? The buy pattern is here. This down candle with that immediate close, that is basically a buy. Let's drop down to the lower time frame and then check the 15 minutes. So on the 15 minutes, we have the up candle here. We have this down candle, and then we reject. This would be a breaker. And then we have a fair value gap over here. And then you can see the same thing as price retraced based on time. We had this down candle form on a 15 minutes, so we can actually check this down candle on the 5 minutes and see. It's actually, there's no 5 minutes up candle before they move down. The up candle started from up here. So I think we might have these two down candles as the order block. These two down candles here, and now they're above it. So I'm expecting them to go up. Maybe on the 1 hour, wait for them to go above this candle, and that will create on the H4 a close above this, right? And then you can look for the continuation to the upside. I think it might come for this and that. They are too clean. So patiently wait, let them close above that 1 hour up candle here, and then you can look for the buy to go and attack this. With the Australian dollar, let me see. Mm, yeah, where we are right now, it's not bad. Protection can go below the down candle. This one here, this down candle, or to make it much easier, this up candle, because if they come all the way down there, that's not even good anymore. And then you can aim for this imbalance up in here. Okay. Just maybe a partial if you're gonna trade it, partial above that, because once they go above this high, the dollar index would have reached for that gap on the 1 hour that I was talking about, which is somewhere here. Price would have reached that and it might pull back. So on the Aussie, if they can get above this high, just take something off and then let's see if we can get a push through the up candle. Okay. Next would be gold. So gold, I think it's amazing how the low of the week has been formed already, and this is how beautiful when you understand what you're looking for. So last week I mentioned that this week the low of the week will form either here, here, or there, depending on the day or time of the day or day of the week. We want to see them drive down first and then reject and go higher. And that's exactly what it did. In future, I'll teach you how to find them, these levels. I think I've already said it. Just find gaps that form during the kill zone. That's it. During the specific day, during the specific time of the day. So this was basically London, right? So if I zoom in, that red shaded area is London. Okay, so that's 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Those three candles created a gap. That's what this one is. And then New York session, we have 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Those three time frames also create another gap. And then you have the 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. also. These times, right? If price ever creates a gap during those times, pay attention to those gaps because those are the main gaps that you want to be trading. Ignore any gap that form outside this time. So for example, this one here, it forms between 9 and 11. Ignore that. Okay. Let's say here, this one, it forms between like 7 and 9. Ignore that. Okay, you're not interested in it. But the ones that form during this specific time, those are the ones that you want. Okay. So you can see they're trying to create one in here between the 12, 1, and 2. Okay, those would be a perfect one. So if they can create that, that's the same thing here. That's yesterday's gap between that same time. 11, 12, 1. That gap. That's where price is currently reacting off from. Okay. So if we can create another one here, that can be very good for a continuation to the upside. On the H4, you have a down candle, so you can use that as your protection. Okay. Crude oil still price not giving the reversal pattern yet. So yesterday I was anticipating them to basically drop and then reject from this gap, but price has not given it yet. So as it stands, I'm still going to be on the sidelines. It has traded to the second volume imbalance on the left. So let's see, and it's exactly 79 retracement level. Now, we need something to come in right here, okay? Because if we don't get it, then there's a problem. So I'm pretty confident that we might get something in here. Maybe it might not today, it might be tomorrow. But whatever happens, there needs to be something in here. And the specific level in there is right in here. So the wick will come and hit this level. So watch 70.78, that area. Okay, that's where we want to see the buyers coming. Let's look at ES. ES, I think we're gonna go back up. I mentioned it yesterday. I've actually bought it here yesterday evening. I was buying this down candle. I placed a buy limit anyway, and then I got triggered in with this candle. I was not expecting it that way. I was expecting them to just go up and then come back in the morning. So I did place a buy limit after this candle closed. Then the next candle immediately traded back into it. And you can see I'm in a bit of a drawdown, but my stop loss, I was protecting myself with this down candle. Sorry, this up candle, because if they go through this gap, obviously it's not good. And I just gave you one of the secrets. It's not a secret anyway. The time of the day, right? The gap. This 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That time, the gap is very, very important. And you can see price is rejecting it so far. So I'm expecting ES to continue going up to here and then potentially up there. So for the rest of the week, I'm bullish on ES. For me to be bearish, they will have to break this gap here. So if they can go through the gap, then we might be going lower. Until then, we're expecting higher prices. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the currencies. Let's switch over to indices. Yesterday, I totally forgot to do AI 16. I don't know why, but I think maybe I was running out of time, so I couldn't. I don't know why I forgot. So I apologize yesterday if someone was expecting me to do um AI 16. I apologize. Okay. Right. So AI 16, you can see we had this up, down, and they were trading below the level that I think I mentioned that they were supposed to be trading below before we expect higher prices. And that was this low. Okay. So as it stands, today is absolutely crucial. When I say crucial, 100% crucial for today to close as an up candle. It must, because if it doesn't, then that would be another redistribution. But looking at how this wick has rejected all this low, and it's a previous week low as well, and looking at the level that we are trading at, very low in discount, this today must at least minimum come back and attack previous day's high, okay, and then start trading higher. And I like the fact that it's respecting the gap, it's respecting this gap here. So I'm expecting basically AI to, some people say there's no algorithm on cryptos, and I beg to differ. because this is a gap formed at a specific time of the day, and the price is respecting it. There's a gap here, right? Why not that one? Why this one? You tell me. Okay. So I want to see price go higher from where we are, to attack previous day's high and then expand higher, right? So let's see. If anything, just use the gap here as your point of reference. If they trade through it, there's no support again. Okay, there's nothing in here that's going to support price. So this is it. And this candle's low comes in at 35.3512. That's where if we go below it, then we have to wait for another pattern to form. Okay, so if you go below 35.12, then wait, let the H fall form another pattern, and then we can start looking for a buy. Okay, so Solana yesterday we got a big rejection from the fair value gap. It couldn't close above the high, and I think I've mentioned I would love to see a close. So the only pair that was able to do that was BTC. BTC was the only one based on the charts that I used. I use Coinbase. So maybe if you use a different one, it might not give it to you as a close. Let me double check. Okay, so this is Binance. Binance did not close. This one also closed. Let's see, crypto. Crypto did not close. So it's a mix. I think it's a mix. It is a mix. So I'm gonna go with the one that I use, even though it's slightly just above it. It's still a close. Right? The fact that I have a green candle here means that it's a close. So based on that, I want to see these H4 gaps support price. So this candle's low is your point of reference for higher prices. As long as we're above that, we'll be expecting them to trade to this candle's low. That's the up candle's low, this one. I'm expecting them to trade there. All right. So as long as we're above 94,246, which is this gap here, because that's the candle that forms the gap, I'm expecting them to trade to 103,340. That's basically what I'll be expecting. Ethereum, leave that one alone. I think I can't stress that enough. Okay, leave it alone. Not a good one to be actually paying attention to right now, in my opinion. Hype. So hype is still inside the range. I think we spoke about buying below the range, selling in above the range. So here, unless we get a breakthrough it, then we can start looking for a buy. If not, then basically wait for sellers to come in up here and then you sell it back down again. All right. I'm not convinced we are going higher yet, unless again we break away, okay, leaving a gap. There's no gap yet. This is all still consolidation. So we need price to break away with a gap. Drop down to the lower time frame. Yeah, so watch this high. Watch that high. If price can get above it, it will reject, or it has a high probability to reject if we go above that high. And if you want to see the continuation to the upside, you need a big range candle breaking it, right? So as it stands, we need a big range candle to break it for us to look for a continuation to the upside. Or as soon as they go above it, you can anticipate some form of a quick rejection to the downside, and then you can look for a push back down again because it's still stuck inside that big daily range. SRP, same thing. It couldn't close. I don't like that kind of wick. It just throws price action off for me. When you have these kind of wicks, I would prefer it if this candle ended as a down candle, but with a rejection. So if we ended it with maybe a down candle or a down close, maybe somewhere here, then it would have been a good thing. Sometimes the wick in of itself is a sign that buyers has come in, but I don't really, in my personal trading, I don't use it to analyze my bias or anything. It just throws me off when I see wicks like that. It throws price action off for me because my way of analyzing charts does not include much of wicks because wicks are just doing damages to accounts. That's all it's doing. So this is a huge manipulation. This big candle here. That's a huge manipulation that happened yesterday. Because for them to come all the way down here and then reject and come all the way back up, that's a huge manipulation. And I don't like those type of candles. So Ripple, I might have to wait for some few candles to form, especially on the daily. To see what's going to happen next. I still believe we're going to go higher, but in terms of confirmation that we're going to go higher, let's start with this gap here. If we can close above it, then they'll give us a kind of a sign that we are going up, but the main high will resume once we break this up candle. So just going above this can give us a sign that we'll be reaching here and then potentially breaking it. Okay, so if we go above this, trade to here, stop, wait, break, pull back, and then buy, and then we continue going higher. So that's for Ripple. Very, very simple. Okay, let's quickly check Tatuo, and then we come back to
That's all.
yeah. Over the last, I think, one day, we had some buyers come in a little bit, all right? So we had our first big up candle push. The gap is still open, so we can still continue going down. So I would like to see today close above the gap, right? That will bring more confidence in the market as in that tool for a push to the upside. So it's good that we've had our first up close candle below the levels that I was mentioning, right? That's what we want to see. If buyers are gonna come in, that's where they need to come in. And we've seen just one sign, which is the first up candle. So we want to see today also close ideally as an up candle above previous day's high, preferably above the gap. So preferably above 0.009413. If today is gonna close bullish, it would be great for it to close above that. If we do get that, then price can start challenging this up candle. Okay, because as we go lower, up candles are always going to support price, or sorry, resist price to go higher. It will reject price to go higher, and then it will continue going lower. But if we can close above this gap here, that can give more momentum because the gap here, this one, is gonna keep right down. If we break above it, then it can act like a springboard and then push price to challenge that up candle. And then once that up candle is closed, once price closes above the up candle, then we will be, we can start looking for potential reversal pattern forming. So that's that for the 2 wall. It's pretty simple. Okay. Let's drop down to the 1 hour to see what's happening in the 1 hour. Let's see. Okay, so I know this is a 1 hour chart, but look at how price consolidated in here. In here. Price went up, came down, went up, came down, went up, came down, and then broke through it, and then price rallied. Imagine that this is a daily time frame, right? The price is fractal. So imagine that this is a daily time frame. You see that the daily is going up, down, and then eventually break, and then price goes up for, I don't know, maybe a month. That is how this pair is doing. Hype, okay, on the daily. It's same, just that, this has a different style of doing its consolidation, but it's the same thing. Price going back up and down, right? And then eventually break. So eventually we will break away from this consolidation. And when we do, because it's been consolidating for a time, it's gonna expand aggressively to the upside. Okay, and this is a typical example. No, this is on a 1 hour chart, but it's, price is fractal. All right. So yeah, that is that for the tool. Watch this up candle here. If you can close above it, then look for the previous day's high to be taken, which is this high. If you can go above this, then look for previous day's high to be taken. Okay. So I think I have a request on YouTube to look at Aussie yen. So let me help viewer. Now, if you've paid attention, what happened to gold? Ooh, that's a big push. You missed it. Okay, no problem. I wanted to buy gold this morning, but I decided, let me buy ES instead. No problem. Let's go back to Aussie yen. Sorry guys, today I'm not in my element as always because I have not meditated this morning. So anyway, now I was saying something. I lost track of thoughts. If you've paid attention, right? I don't have yen in here, right? Maybe someone might be asking why. Why don't you look at yen? I don't look at the yen because I don't like them. Okay, I don't like the yen pairs. And the reason simply is they are very, very, very tricky to trade. The yen pairs, they are very, very tricky to trade. If you've been trading for a while, you understand what I mean. Um, it can move based on some random news out of nowhere. The dollar can affect it, the stock market can affect it, Mr. Trump speaking can affect it. Um, there's so many things that can affect the yen in terms of volatility. Okay. So based on that, I personally, and I've traded some yen pairs in the past. It's just that I've weighed the pros and cons of trading the yen pairs, and the cons were too high than the pros, meaning I got so much damaged or I got stopped out quite a lot on the yen pairs. So because of that, I basically gave them up. So that's why you don't see me, having a yen pair. Now, again, another question might be, oh, if you look at the algorithm, why it shouldn't work on yen? Yes, it does, but it has some weird ways of actually respecting what I want to see, right? And beside that, the news event, oh God, anything can affect it. Okay, if dollar is moving, it will affect it. If the stock market is moving, it's gonna affect it. Right. So that's why I personally don't trade again. But I do look at it for anyone that wants me to have a look. So let me start from the monthly time frame. Yeah. So look at this. It doesn't make sense. All this doesn't make sense. It's too all over the place. Yeah. To be honest, if I give you something on this pair right now, I'm forcing it. So Rohit, Basak, if I give you anything on this pair right now, I'm forcing it because this is just a mess. Okay. But if I was to force to give you something, then I'll look for a continuation to the downside. Okay. I'll look for a continuation to the downside. So on the daily, I'll be using this high to this low. And I'll be expecting a continuation to the downside. And I'll consider this to be a pullback. Hence, if you want to trade the pullbacks, of course, you can go ahead and look to counter trend to come up here. And once we're up there, you look for continuation back down again. Okay. So if I was going to trade this from the high time frame perspective, it doesn't make sense. It's too much noise. On the lower time frame, the daily. So when I say high time frame, I'm using the monthly, weekly, and daily. When it comes to the monthly and weekly, it doesn't make sense. It's just a mess. So the daily has now created a dealing range, right, which is this high and this low. So I would prefer, okay, to trade inside that range. And then after we break away from either the high or the low, maybe the higher time frame, which is the weekly or the monthly, will start making sense again. Then I can make my analysis based on that. But as it stands, the weekly and monthly is not making sense to me. So I hope, Rohit, you got the answer you're looking for. Someone also commented, can you check Euro USD, GBP USD targets, weekly targets, in case today was an entry? Let's look at Euro USD. Now, weekly targets. Okay. So looking at how price has traded so far, based on what I'm expecting on dollar index, it would make sense for them to come up here, which is the 1.0533. It will make sense for them to come up there. But how we gap down on specifically euro, okay, through this gap, it makes it a little bit challenging for price to come all the way up here for now. So I can only give you the short term and then take it one day at a time. Because as it stands, anything can happen with Donald Trump and his tariff stuff. And then he might twist something that will cause an aggressive move to the downside, right? So take it one day at a time. The British pound is the best one, in my opinion, to look into because it's able to close back above the gap that was created yesterday. Euro has not done that, right? So I think, if you focus on British pound to go and attack the equal high that I mentioned, even potentially the previous week high, right? But long term, put that long term aside for now and let's take it one day at a time. I'm expecting them to go up here and then potentially there. If we can bridge that, then I can give you like long term where we're gonna go. Okay, so let's see if the dollar index will drop as I'm expecting, and then these pairs will go higher as I'm expecting, and then I can give you, because we are still early in the month. And again, I like the fact that when the month started, we actually dropped first. So we probably might have created the low of the month. Still early to confirm because again, Friday we have NFP. That's going to be another blockbuster. So that might decide what these currencies are going to do for the rest of February. Okay. So Leo, I hope you got your answer as well. All right. So in terms of trade, I would say focus on the British pound. That's all I would say. Focus on British pound. That's the only thing that makes sense right now. And then maybe the Australian dollar. Those two. Okay. Apart from those two, yeah. I mean, gold has run away, so you can get into gold. So I think pretty much for now that is it. Again, I apologize. I'm all over the place today because I haven't meditated, and if I don't, it's not a good thing. My mind is everywhere. And I'm literally exhausted because I've been driving for close to not close to, I've been driving for 4 hours, and I just got back and I jumped straight to the charts. Okay. So that's why I'm kind of all over the place. Tomorrow I'll be back to my elements. I'll be back in my elements.
It's all good, brother. I think you're doing awesome. It's pretty sweet. Thanks for the knowledge.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Think I can do better. It's just the brain is tired.
It's
The brain is exhausted. It needs some
all
rest.
good, man. I
Rest.
think I think yeah, you always go above and beyond. So, you know.
All right. So I think I'll end today here, and then we continue tomorrow. Just bear in mind that we have NFP on Friday. So when you're trading, just be aware. Don't have any long, I would say long term, but weekly targets that the NFP can, of course, change it. So that's why I keep your targets really short for this week, and then next week you can look for longer targets based on how NFP will trade on Friday. Take care, everyone.
Awesome. Have a good one. Take care.